Hello and welcome to another episode of Wheels Boy Lockdown Chat, the show where we spend our time locked inside our homes during Shanghai's lockdown to talk about topics related to the Chinese car market. For today's video, I am joined not by one, but two guests. The first is Mr. Mark Andrews, who joined us for last week's video. Hello, Mark.
Great to be back. Hello.
And our second guest, our second VIP, is none other than Elliot Richards. Elliot Richards, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
I have a list of brief introductions that Elliot has asked me to make. Elliot is the founder of the China Driver channel. He is also the China correspondent for Fully Charged show here on YouTube. And Elliot, you were voted 2021's sexiest foreign automotive journalist. Is that correct?
That is correct, and I'm probably in line to get it this year as well. So sorry, guys.
Well, only time will tell, but we wish you the best of luck. The topic for today's video is one that was actually requested by a lot of our followers on social media and here on YouTube. Again, be sure to comment below if there's a topic you would like us to discuss. That topic is the BYD Seal. However, before we get to that, Mark, I understand that you wanted to give us some updates. Last week's show was about the current state of the Chinese automotive market, and you said you had some more information to share for us.
Yeah, there's been some major developments in the last few days. First of all, Shanghai issued a list of 666 companies on a whitelist. About a third of them are automotive ones that should be able to start production by perhaps sometime next week. That includes Tesla and SAIC. But in fact, Tesla started producing yesterday, which was Tuesday, the 19th of April. So they started production yesterday. Got about 6,000 workers in a closed loop on site.
Okay. So we are seeing somewhat of a return to normal. Maybe not for us in our homes, but at least for certain companies. So good for them. But on to today's main topic, which is the BYD Seal. So I'm going to start by giving you guys, those of you who don't know, the BYD Seal is an upcoming release from BYD, China's best-selling electric car company, well, new energy vehicle company, also electric vehicle company as well. It is going to be a fully electric sedan based on BYD's e-Platform 3.0. That's the same platform that's used for the BYD Yuan Plus, as well as the BYD Dolphin, both of which we've driven. We have a video about the Yuan Plus. Mark, you wrote an article about it. Elliot has a great video about the Dolphin, I believe, that you can check out on Fully Charged. So we know a little bit about what to expect from this car. I'm going to throw out some specs here that'll give you an idea of what kind of cars this is going to compete with. So in terms of length, this is 4.8 meters, and wheelbase is 2.92 meters. For context, a Tesla is 4.6 meters. We'll say 4.7 meters almost exactly. And the wheelbase is 2.87 meters. So this thing is bigger in every dimension, both in width and height, I will add as well. Bigger than a Tesla Model 3, but close enough that I think we can say it's going to be a pretty direct competitor. What do you guys think?
Definitely.
I think they want it to be a Model 3 competitor, but realistically, no.
A very good point, Elliot. Thank you. There's a distinction between what they want it to be and what it's going to be.
Yes.
So another I've seen numbers thrown around in terms of the price of the Seal, and some sources are saying things like 180 to 220,000 RMB or 250,000 RMB even, which for the context, that's about $25,000 to $40,000, and the Tesla Model 3 starts at 250,000 RMB here in China. Now, personally, the numbers that I trust more is more like 150 to 200,000 RMB. I don't expect it to go that much higher. What do you guys think?
I've seen it much higher. I've seen it saying 220,000 to 280,000. That's $34,600 to $44,100. And you also have to bear in mind that prices have gone up due to the short supply of lithium, particularly with batteries. Mm-hmm. So BYD prices have gone up, as have most EV manufacturers' prices. So I think with such a low starting point, it's possible, I guess, but I think it's unlikely, particularly as they're aiming at the Tesla Model 3. And so you can expect prices to be a little bit higher than the ones you read, I think, anyway.
Sure. Elliot?
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard one for me because I think, they are aiming for the Model 3, but they're never going to reach it in terms of just the brand. People who buy Model 3s aren't going to buy BYDs. And that's why I think the price is kind of secondary. If you're going to buy a BYD, you're going to buy a BYD. And I think that them trying to compete with the Model 3 is just marketing, to be honest. I think this is competing with maybe P5, Xpeng P5. It's kind of that level. It's not Model 3.
I think you're right. I mean, I do think you're right. I think on paper, in terms of size and in these different performance categories and things like that, even on range, it could probably do it. But something that a lot of people don't know about the Chinese car market, the domestic market in terms of buyers, is that they don't. The perception of Chinese domestic brands is still lagging behind pretty much every foreign brand. So we as automotive reviewers might be able to say that the BYD, the Yuan Plus, is a pretty good compact electric SUV, and it would compare well to something that was like an all-electric Toyota or something like that. But almost every Chinese buyer, at least in a general sense, is going to go with the Toyota because they just feel like they have higher quality. And for a long time that was true, but perception and actual perception lags behind product quality in general. So one thing that could provide context, the reason that I feel relatively comfortable about saying something, maybe 150 is a little bit low, but something around like 170,000 is because the in terms of the different specs, there are three main specs, and we'll talk about power specifically. There's two rear-wheel drive versions. The first one is going to have a 150 kilowatt rear motor. That's about 200 horsepower. And the next one will have a 230 kilowatt, around 310 horsepower rear motor, which, I mean, off the bat, if 200,000 RMB, 310 horsepower rear motor, rear wheel drive, little kind of electric compact sedan, especially if it looks like that thing, and we'll talk about styling in a minute, that sounds pretty good to me. That sounds pretty good. I like the sounds of that. And then finally, the top line one, the one that will be, in theory at least, maybe the thing that could distract some buyers from a Tesla Model 3 if it's not priced too high, is the dual motor, which has, again, a front and rear motors. The front motor has 160 kilowatts, around 215 horsepower, and the rear motor has 230 kilowatts, around 310 horsepower, again, for a total of, for ease, we'll say about 500 horsepower. And that thing will be... That'll be fun.
Yeah.
And no reason to doubt.
Where does this sit in comparison to the BYD Han? Obviously, the Han's the top of the range saloon. So this sits underneath it, or is it separate in like a more sporty and performance line? Because the specs of the lower versions are lower than the Han, but then the higher spec one is higher spec than the Han, right?
Identical, I think. Almost identical.
But the size is actually significantly smaller. The wheelbase is exactly the same. Both are 2,920 millimeters. But the Han is 4,980 millimeters long. So the Han is significantly bigger. Yeah. So there's certainly a difference. And I think, as Elliot, you just said, there is a sort of sportier stance about the Seal.
I think that this brings up an interesting question, and it's one we're going to explore in another video, which is what in the hell is going on with BYD's product strategy right now? Because if you're paying attention, they essentially have a bunch of different lines at the same time. They've got the ocean line, or everyone would call it ocean animal line. So you've got the seal, the dolphin. We've got other similarly named products coming up that we'll discuss in another video. They've got these crazy cars called like destroyer, cruiser, landing ship.
Yeah. The warship one.
The warship line. But they also have the dynasties, Han, Tang, Song, blah, blah, blah. So if I were to walk into a BYD showroom right now, and I'm a customer, I wouldn't know how to make heads or tails out of it. So that's, again, a bigger topic for another time, but it's something to keep in mind. But yeah, I think I'm looking forward to driving this car for sure. I think that there's a lot of potential in that E-Platform 3.0. It's got the Blade battery tech. It's got up to 800 kilowatt charging. I'll say the same thing I said in the BYD UM Plus video that we did, which is, can someone please tell me where I can get 800 kilowatt charging?
Anybody?
I think you mean 800 volt
800 volt
architecture.
Sorry. Yes, the 800 volt architecture or whatever. It's they offer these fast charging thing. They're like, it could charge such and such amount of time.
8 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's like, and if you come to the BYD headquarters basement, where we have one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. One experimental thing that oh God, no, you're not allowed to use. Please don't show up at our door.
Which is out of order.
Yeah. And it's not just them. Everybody does it. But yeah, so there's a lot to unpack, and I think we have to drive it, of course, but that's the basics of what we know now. We don't have any interior shots, as those of you guys are watching the video here. We don't have any interior shots as of yet, but except for some very janky spy shots that are just the rear seat, looking from the rear seat up at the ceiling, which I don't know how someone thought that was a good idea. But we'll get that info later. Yeah. I don't know. That's not a spy. If somebody paid that spy for that shot, I don't know what they were thinking. They paid way too much money.
My crystal ball though says it has a rotating screen.
Yes, interior wise, yes, we can throw out some guesses. Yeah, like every other BYD, it will almost certainly have a rotating screen. It will have. I mean, if you watched the BYD UM Plus the Dolphin was fun, crazy. The UM Plus is just insane because it has like dumbbells and muscle fiber inspired dash panels and guitar strings on the door panels and everything. If you have no idea what we're talking about, you have to go look at it.
Well, we should point out UM Plus in Australia is the Atto 3.
Thank you.
And
yes.
we believe the seal is going to be called the Atto 4.
Yes, thank you for reminding me. Yes. And so the Dolphin is I think super fun because it's a cheap car, and if relatively speaking, it's about 100,000 RMB or about $16,000 US dollars. So you can be fun. You want to be fun, cheap and cheerful, right? Elliot?
The thing is, BYD tread a very fine line between like fun and whoa, that's a little bit too much. And I think with this, because the exterior looks great, I think with the interior, if they do something a bit too wacky, it's going to turn off a lot of buyers. Those Model 3 buyers, Model 3, minimalist, simple. They're obviously going for that aesthetic. People want that. BYD is never simple and minimalist and like that. So for me, getting this interior spot on and good quality, because they did it with the Han, so they just need to concentrate and focus and don't put too many silly things in it.
Yeah, I think I was going to say that's I thank you for making the point that I was trying to make earlier much better than I did, which is that the BYD UM Plus is wacky is a good word. It's silly, it's goofy, it's kind of childish even. It's fun. I don't hate it. I like the idea, but I can definitely see a buyer going in and being like, "Wait, what? Why do I want the guitar strings on my rear seats? That's on the door panel of my rear seats, so my child can drive me insane in 45 minutes, within 45 minutes of buying this car, as they just pluck at it incessantly. Why would I want that?" Or, why do
Scissors.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, I bet you there's going to be some on the Chinese internet, there's going to be some mods where you can just take those off and put in like metal things or something to get to save yourself. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Elliot. The interior is going to be huge to decide whether this thing actually can compete with a Model 3. But before we wrap up, I was going to say, any comments? We don't have interior shots, but we do have exterior. And as I think been indicating, I'm a big fan. I think it looks really good. I think it has a similar stance from the side as a Model 3, actually, in terms of just that kind of classic compact sedan, very modern looking rear quarter. But front headlights, everybody, what do they look like?
Taycan.
Yes, Porsche Taycan.
Yeah, we do.
100%.
Taycan, whatever it's called.
Taycan, whatever.
Taycan,
yeah. Undeniable for sure. I wouldn't call it copycatting. It's not that bad.
No.
What I really love, actually, and you'll see it in some of these slideshow images, and maybe I'll pause it on one of them, is The rear taillights continue what BYD has been doing for a while now, which is some super cool taillight designs. They had it on the Dolphin. They had it on the I think the Dolphin has probably the best ones. Yeah, so you can get, I've got the image pulled up now for our audience. Just super, really interesting, intricate taillight design that I think looks fantastic.
Yeah, it's that Chinese knot. And I like how BYD have a lot of Chinese influence in their designs and their names previously, before they went down this crazy naming route. And I think the wheels on this car look fantastic.
Yeah.
They really suit the car. They're not, you frequently see like these cool cars. MG do it all the time. And it looks really cool. It's one of their sporty models. I think it's the petrol model. And the wheels on the back are just too small. You're like, what is that? And just lets the car down. Whereas this, it really fits in. But the only thing I don't like about the body is the black kind of plastic bits they've added on. It's like an eBay kind of tuning kit that someone's bought for $10 and stuck on the side of their car. That's my only criticism.
So that like lower rocker panel thing, you mean? And then
the back bumper and
just
it's a bit like careful.
I think there's a little bit of an issue that we're getting into with a number of the designs that are emerging currently. So obviously you had the Model 3 originally, but when you get now the Seal, but also the Neo ET5, there's a sort of generic look that is appearing amongst this kind of segment of the kind of sized car. And yes, you get different features such as the lights, etc., on them. But when you look at the overall silhouette, there is not necessarily that much differentiation between them. And that's what I feel is creeping in.
Hard agreement, Mark, with that. I think we can, Elliot, unless you have any thoughts, we can close on that. Obviously, can't wait to get out of our apartments and go and drive this car whenever it debuts, which is supposed to be in the first quarter of 2022, but who knows what that's gonna, not the way things are shaping up now, considering the first quarter's done or already
finished.
Yeah, we're in the second quarter now, I think. But eventually we will get out. Mark, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Elliot, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Be sure to check out these guys. Those are their Twitter handles below their names, as well as Mark's website. And then you can see Elliot over in the Fully Charged channel, where he does some super cool videos of great Chinese cars. Thank you very much for watching. And just a reminder, please leave comments below or on our social media. You can follow us. Our handles are below me. And leave some comments about topics you would like us to talk about. Thank you guys for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.